Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Michelle Christie, and today is going to be a different video. I'm not talking about finances. I know I've been gone for a couple of months. I don't really have too many updates on my finances, so I'll probably just do a year-end review in December because there's a few changes in my life that will be happening. But today's video is going to be all about how I passed the CCRN exam on the first attempt. Also, I have my Invisalign in, so if I sound a little bit different, that is the reason why. So with that said, we'll go ahead and jump right into today's video. Alright, so like I mentioned, today's video is going to be how I passed the CCRN on the first attempt and what I bought, what I used, and what I wish I didn't buy. So we'll start with the stuff that did not work for me. The first book is the Barron's Adult CCRN exam. I know that everyone says this is the best exam, or the book for the exam, and it's the only thing you need. However, for me, that was not the case. I may just have lacked the discipline and focus, but I didn't want to read the book, and I thought the questions were a little too simple. It was like if you read it, then you could answer the questions. But otherwise, it just seemed like, oh, they wanted you to be able to answer their own questions, but I don't think they took it to the next step to answer anything harder than whatever was in here. So yeah, this book for me was kind of useless. It was about $20 on Amazon, and yeah, I didn't need it. I am selling this book, so at least I'll get some of my money back, but overall I didn't find this book helpful whatsoever. There are some practice questions in the back, like I think there's 2 exams where you can do a full-length one. I probably did a couple questions in it, but I didn't have time to do all of them, so I can't speak on that. But honestly, I think if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time to read through something that might be a little bit dry, then this book is not for you, and it probably won't be too helpful to pass the CCRN. I know that other people have talked about reading this through multiple times and really understanding what's in there, and I'm sure that would work, but for me, that's just not how I learned, and so this book was kind of useless to me, even though I did do some of the questions in there. The next book that I bought is the Past CCRN. So a lot of people actually don't recommend getting the book, and they just say do the test bank. I happen to just get them both together, so that's why I have this book, but I didn't actually use the book at all. It's very dense, and it tells you stuff to a degree that you don't need to know. A reason why I did buy this book is because I was thinking about going back to school, and I figured, oh, well, I'm going to have to continue studying CCRN material, so it'll be good to have something that really goes in depth to look up stuff, but I ultimately did not do that, and it isn't my learning style, so I should just never buy any textbooks ever again. But the test bank for this one was actually decent. The questions they ask are good, and I think they're similar to the questions that you would get on the actual CCRN, but the way that the test bank is kind of terrible in my opinion. I just didn't like how you could answer a set of questions, and then the next time you went to that particular bank, so say you were doing endocrinology, you wouldn't be able to differentiate between questions you've already done and questions you haven't done, and you just have to repeat them. And they have a lot of questions on that bank, so it was just kind of annoying that you couldn't filter out the questions so that way you could practice new questions. So that's the only issue that I really had with the Past CCRN test bank. Other than that, I think it's a great way to just kind of sit down and do a bunch of questions. The book is unnecessary, and I think altogether I probably paid $60 for the bank and the book. I would just opt to buy the test bank. It's probably like $30 just for the bank, but you don't need the book. Alright, and so I don't have any books for the next thing that I actually use, but that was AACN. They had a practice test bank and a review course. I bought those last year, probably in November. Again, a lot of things happened in my life during that time, so I wasn't even able to sit down and study, but I think the test bank from AACN is also pretty similar to the actual exam because they're the people that make the exam, but their review course is boring and not worth sitting through, so I wouldn't do their review course, but their test bank is fine. And then finally, last but not least, and what actually is what I used to pass the CCRN, was the Nicole Kupchik review course. This one's the most pricey. I think I paid almost $300. It was probably 200 something, but it was covered by my company. So I'm wearing now. So thank you to them, because it fell under continuing education just to keep my license active. So thankfully, I didn't actually have to be out of pocket for it. But I bought the bundle course, which came with the study guide and with practice questions. The study guide wasn't really useful to me, because everything that's on the PowerPoint is essentially what this is. And there really was no reason for me to go through this book when I already had the PowerPoints that I took my notes on. The practice questions are golden. These were the best practice questions that I did to review for the CCRN exam. I think that Nicole really asked things that make you think kind of to the next level versus what the CCRN tests you at. So if the CCRN tests you here, Nicole brings you up here to test your knowledge. And really, honestly, I think it makes you a better critical care nurse with the level that she teaches you at and the level that she has you test yourself at. So this book was super helpful. Honestly, I think the Nicole Kupchik class is the only thing that anyone needs to pass the CCRN exam. Some hospitals actually pay for a live review course. The hospital I work at, they do that for their actual employees. I'm thankful that my travel company was able to cover the cost of her course for continuing education, but honestly, it's definitely worth the money. She's a very engaging lecturer, so it was very easy to sit down after work and listen to one of her lectures each day and then go ahead and do these questions. So for me, what I did to pass the exam, I watched them all one time through and I took notes on it. Then I did one of the practice tests and didn't do too well. So I went through and I rewatched everything, but this time I wasn't taking any notes. I was just kind of being more engaged in the class. So there's questions that pop up in her lectures. So when she'd ask those questions, I was very actively listening. And so I would answer while in the lecture to see if I understood and see if I got it in real time. Then I took the second test and I did so much better. And so from then on I knew, okay, well, I'm ready to take this final exam. And I did that at the beginning of June and I was successful and passed. Now the actual exam is very different from the questions that are in this book. They are shorter, like one sentence is all they're asking. Whereas if you open this, she's asking you paragraphs for pretty much every question. So there's a lot built into her questions and it really makes you think harder. And so the actual test felt very different from her questions, but I was able to pass because I was already at the next level by taking her class and by doing her types of questions. So that's why I think the Nicole Kupchik class is the only thing that you need to pass the CCRN. And with that said, that really concludes today's video. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you liked today's video, just give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I will catch you guys in the next video.